Howdy, everyone. Tad Stevens on the Micro Success Secrets podcast, where we focus on business, psychology, and marketing, and how you can use that in your business daily and long term. Today, I'm talking with Angie Monko, who owns and operates Harmony Harbor Harmony Harbor Coaching. She helps women decide if they should stay or go so they can feel empowered in their decision and have a clear idea for their future. Whether they need to decide about their marriage, a career, church, networking group, or how to show up in any relationship or situation, Angie helps these women get clarity and then make the decision for their highest good. She holds a sacred, safe container for them to transform into a loving self-advocate, where remember who they are, what they are, and who they are here to serve. In Angie's Harbor, they learn to honor, respect, and be patient with all parts of themselves, especially the hurt, traumatized inner child. Angie, how are you doing today? And let me know if I missed anything.
You did it great. No, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, you're very welcome. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
I like to start with the thought or the question, I guess, of if you could go back in time and you could change one business or life decision or combination, and it could be more than one, but if you could change just one, first off, would you change that decision? And if you would change it, what would you change it to?
I read your question and I thought, well, it came to me right away what to say. I don't like scripts very much. So one of my values is authenticity. And so I'm going to be authentic. Probably the biggest life decision that I made that I regret and would take back is I gave custody of my 2-year-old daughter to my ex-husband. And that had a ripple effect that was very painful for me. So yeah, you said, what was the decision and what would we do differently?
What would you do different? Yeah.
Obviously I wouldn't have done that. I would have been a loving self-advocate for myself and stood up for myself and had the courage to do that. And everything would have been different. Yeah.
Yeah. And, not trying to be, invasive, but that is the reason that I asked the question, is because, some people say, no, they wouldn't change anything. And other people like you have something or multiple things that they would change.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they have reasons for it. And that's why. Okay. So to switch gears a little bit, kind of still going back in time, but to change the question up a little, is if you could look back and you could find one life or business decision, again, it can be two, but if you could find at least one that was super positive, and you look back at it and you can look back at it and you can say, okay, I remember everything before this decision and everything after that, so it's kind of like a dividing line and you just remember it that way. Do you have one of those you could share?
Yeah, I married my husband, Steve. So I got divorced and I met Steve and we started dating and I married him a few years later, and was one of the best decisions I made. We each had a daughter at the time, and we were a family, and we traveled and we had a wonderful time together. So that's one. And then the other one was leaving AT&T and my corporate career of 20 years to pursue life coaching, what I love to do, 13 years ago. So those are the two.
Well, that's super interesting to me anyway, is because those two decisions those are the two most popular ones people say on that question. One has something to do with family and their relationships. The other one has to do with when they decided to change their career. And I mean, those are big things. Those are big decisions.
Yeah. That's how I got into, should I stay or should I go? Because those were huge decisions that have such big impact. And that's why I decided to really focus in on my business, to helping women decide if they should stay or go.
Well, okay, which is great, because the next question, and I was thinking about this, especially for you and your coaching and what you provide, is, a lot of, some of what I hear is that people get stuck. They get stuck in a situation, work, relationship, life, whatever, and they don't necessarily know or have the tools to help them move through that. And so do you have anything you could share with, and whether it's a big decision or a little decision, I mean, really anything that you could share with on how to help people get unstuck and to go through those decisions or deal with that?
Yes, good question. I will use the example of leaving AT&T because I used a specific tool to do that. So I
Okay.
got into coaching because I learned this tool called emotional freedom technique, also known as meridian tapping. And it's what I based my business off of when I launched in 2008. And anyway, when I was still at AT&T working part-time, and after about
Hmm.
2.5 years of doing that, I really wanted to go full-time into the business, into the coaching business. Well, I finally got the courage up to use my technique of emotional freedom technique to
Hmm.
overcome the fears of leaving there. So I made a list of all the reasons why I could not leave AT&T, the golden
Okay.
handcuffs, the
Yeah.
cell phones, are like so many things, all the reasons I couldn't leave. And I started doing the technique on it. I recorded my voice, and then on my way to work, I would do this technique every morning. It's called tapping because you tap on these meridian points around the body while you're focused in on what you're feeling.
Okay.
And it took me 2.5 years because I knew it worked and it would create chaos. But at this time, I was ready for the chaos. I was ready for a shift, a change to get
Hmm.
unstuck. And so
Right.
that's what I did. 2 months later, my boss from Texas called me up and said, "Hey, we want you to move to Chicago. Do the same thing you're doing here, but move to Chicago." My kids were in high school. I didn't want to move. And I said, "No, thank you." So it was the right timing then. So I use this technique of emotional freedom technique to get unstuck. It's beautiful. It's simple.
Okay. That is super. And I'll make sure that I put that down in the show notes as well, because that can be super powerful excuse me, for people.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So, and this is kind of relates, I kind of try to tie it all in with this question. This kind of relates to all the questions, but if you had to start from scratch for whatever reason, your business, say you sold it
Hmm.
to somebody else, they took it over, and you didn't have a non-compete, and you could do anything you wanted to do, what would you do next?
I love what I do. So I would open another coaching business because um I just I'm where I'm supposed to be. I'm passionate about what I do, and I have no regrets about leaving corporate and going off onto my own and creating referral partnerships and so forth to help me to be successful. I
Hmm.
wouldn't do it. I would just get more niched, which is I'm already doing. I know that now. That was a big lesson in my marketing woes, I guess you'd say.
Okay. So, okay, well, that kind of, just to expand on that a little bit, what's the feeling behind why you would get more niched? What have you learned?
um, I noticed one of the things you asked about was what was the least effective marketing thing I've done and what was the most effective.
I was going to ask, yeah, I was getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of related to that. So the least effective would I'd say it's paid advertising. I remember when I
Hmm.
first started, I knew it was important to build a list, an email marketing list,
Right.
so that I could develop rapport with people and sell my services. And so I started doing that, and I just remember about a year into doing it, was going pretty well. I got some sort of solicitation to buy a list. It was 1,000 people,
Right. Yeah.
and at the time I was working with women to release weight using emotional freedom technique. Okay, because it works to rewire the neural pathways of our brain. And I paid like $1,000, $1 per person basically, to get a
Right.
1,000 person list. But it was this. It just people were unsubscribing. It was a waste of money.
Yes.
And I've done other things, similar things, not with a list, but with some paid advertising that it was just a lot of hype and it really didn't get me the results I wanted. So that
Yes.
that was probably the least effective. The most effective thing that I've done is build relationships with people, and so referral partnerships. I belong to this group called Referral Institute. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but what you do is you find somebody who you resonate with your values, and
Hmm.
meet with them once a month after you go through a process of getting to know and understand each other better and your
Hmm.
weaknesses. And you typically don't compete with them, but you have the same audience that you're serving. So then you pass referrals to each other, and it's
So,
a
yeah,
process.
yeah, that sounds awesome, and I'll mention that in the show notes as well. And interesting what you said about paid advertising. I've seen that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Paid advertising is hard. I
Right.
mean, it is. I can remember when I could get penny clicks on Facebook or 5-cent clicks off Google a decade ago.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work that way anymore because of the competition for the space. But yeah, paid advertising is really tough and can be very ineffective. And then I like what you said about referral, especially in our business
Mhm.
as well. And
Right.
I talk to a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants, and referral marketing is huge. I mean, I just want to let that sink in for people and let people hear that is that come up with something, a system like you were talking about,
Mhm.
and work on it because it will pay
Yeah.
dividends down the road. Okay.
And Ted, I do want to say there's no quick fix to the marketing thing. I think I've been looking for a magic bullet. I've paid a lot of money to do a lot of different things.
Oh yeah.
And if I started off right, but somehow my mind being so, I don't know, attracted to drama and distraction and that kind of thing, I was never able to stick on a niche and really farm it and really cultivate it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so if I had to do things over, it would be get really clearly defined in that niche and give it time. Don't flip flop. And the thing is, from the very beginning, I've really had it's the same people I've been working with. So I have had consistency. I just didn't realize it, and I didn't know how to language it in my marketing. But
Mm-hmm.
it's with women who they notice that they people please. They they
Mm-hmm.
they put everybody first before themselves. They get worn
Right.
out. They're often empathic. I mean, I've gotten really clear on who it is now, but it's taken me 13 years. I mean, I feel like a
Join the
slow
club.
learner. I feel like a slow learner.
No,
But,
no, no. You are not. I mean, join the club. I can tell you, people that I talk to, they want an easy button. They
right,
want the quick thing. They want the shiny object, and 99 times out of 100, it doesn't work.
right.
And it's not that the shiny object may not necessarily work. It's that they don't integrate it into their passion, their purpose, offer, and like you said, they bounce around to things, and that will not. And I really appreciate you saying that because it's important that people hear that as well.
Yeah.
Where you found success in picking an audience, picking a channel and sticking with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what works. That's what I've seen work over and over and over again. So that is super. Um, Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate all that.
Welcome.
That was super. Appreciate your time and your sharing.
Thank you.
Is there anything that you would like to close with, and anything that you could share that might benefit the listeners and the viewers?
Yeah. If I had to do everything over, in my life, I would have been a loving self advocate for myself. That's sort of my brand name for the ultimate result of where I want to go with people and
Mm-hmm.
myself included. And a loving self advocate when I was a young woman growing up. And I think I sold myself out to men, um, searching for that father figure and that love. And
Yep.
what I've learned, Tad, and I'm 51 years old, I've learned to give that love to myself. And that's what I talk about the inner child is really
Mm-hmm.
loving and nurturing myself first. And then that way I can then extend that courtesy to everyone else in my life, including my clients.
Mm-hmm. But you have to do it for yourself
I
first. I
have
have
to.
learned. I have learned
There's no
that
way
lesson
around that.
myself. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Okay.
Yeah,
So if people want to get in touch with you, if they're
sure.
interested in talking to you, or if you've got anything, I mean, how would they do that?
Yeah. I'll give you my email. It's Angie, Angie, at harmonyharbor.com. So Harmony, HARMONY, Harbor, HARBOR.com. I'll also throw out my website's the same, harmonyharbor.com.
Okay.
My phone number is 314-422-6520. And I just want to say, this Wednesday, I have a class coming up, and I have a partner. Her name is Morgan, and we are promoting this class. It's called 5 Steps to Ditch the Ex-Mormon Guilt. And you may think, what? Because we help people decide if they should stay or go. And so this is one area with high demand religions that we help empower women who have felt so guilty about their choices. So I know it seems out there, but it's really not. It's in with that
Mm-hmm.
decision. And so I can send you a link for that if they want to register. It's a free class. It's noon central this Wednesday, the 18th.
Sure.
And then the other thing that I thought of is if someone wants to talk to me, I can also put a link and to see if I would be a good fit. They can talk to me for free and to see if what I do to help people would help them too.
Okay, outstanding. And I will make sure all of that contact information and notes are in the show notes, and
Thank you.
also wherever we post the video or audio, make sure it's in the description so people can find that as well. Okay, Angie, thank you very, very much again. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a very safe and productive week. Be the very best at what you are at, and we will see everyone next time. Tad Stevens, Micro Success Secrets. Bye for now.